The first 6 rounds of the 2018 Virtual Racing League Cup Series have come and gone, and so far, we've visited all sorts of tracks. But tonight is the first time since Daytona we will revisit a super speedway, Wide Banks in the heart of Alabama. This 2.66-mile racetrack was built to be bigger and faster than Daytona, and since it was built in 1969, it has lived up to those expectations. Winning at the hallowed grounds of Talladega mean you've survived hours of high-speed intensity. Welcome to Talladega, Alabama. Finian, it's time to go racing again. For the first time at a super speedway since Daytona for these group of drivers here tonight.
Yeah, and I'm sure they're antsy and ready to go. They put on a pretty great race at Daytona, so I'm expecting a lot for them tonight at Talladega. But small, really quick points update here. Connor Horn currently is leading the points, took it away from Eric Hutton last week after Hutton crashed out. He's leading by 9 points. Follow back to third, then it's Eli Hinton, who's 23 points behind Connor Horn.
Yeah, and Connor Horn obviously won at Las Vegas last week, Finian. It was a little bit of a controversial win the week prior at New Hampshire. There was a little bit of discussion there as Connor Horn finished 7th, was very confident about his ability the next week at Las Vegas, went out and won that race without any competition whatsoever. And this week is going to be a little bit more tricky to dominate, Finian, as Talladega is not known for having the winner, or the eventual winner, be the guy that led the most laps.
Yeah, so again, it's a great equalizer here, as it's referred to in the racing world. So really anyone in this field has a shot at winning, and everyone knows that, so everyone's going to be vying for that final spot when they come around after lap 94.
So 94 laps in tonight's event, Finian, and there are some notes about you should be able to make this on 2 stops if things go your way, but curious to see how that turns out. Meanwhile, before we get into anything else, Dash for Cash here tonight, $30 to the highest finishing Dash for Cash driver. Connor Horn, Justin Egan, Jordan Ashland, Josiah Vincent are also eligible.
And Ben Baffert.
Oh, Ben Baffert,
well.
Yes. Thank you. I knew I was forgetting one. It will not be eligible if the race finishes under caution, however, so they got to hope for a green finish. Obviously, those drivers are lit up in the green on the left-hand side of your ticker. And you can see Jordan Ashland right now, the highest qualified Dash for Cash driver. Well, pretty big field size again here tonight, Finian. It looks like we're well over 25. And field sizes have been good so far this year in general, but at Talladega, you got to have friends, and I think the Hutton Motorsports guys are going to be in the best shape in that regard here tonight.
Yeah, there are quite a few actually fairly big teams of guys, about 4 cars in their team, so they're all going to be trying to work together. The Dark Smoke guys have about four of them working together. I'm just looking through the discard at the moment. Hinton Motorsports, 4 guys. Hutton Motorsports, 4 guys as well. SMT Racing also has 4 guys, so you can see a lot of these guys falling into groups and working together, and you need that really. You've seen it in real life this year and last year too, between Joe Gibbs Racing, those cars working together and maintaining at the front. Same thing with Penske.
Absolutely. So Liam Sheen again tonight at Hardline Sim Racing was doing the SimTV scheme for us last night, has brought that over to the Virtual Racing League, and that scheme, of course, is the work of Jordan Ashland in the number 27 car. So that SimTV scheme seeing a lot of action, and Eric Mickey was running it a few weeks ago, but has not returned here in the last couple of weeks, so that scheme will live on in others. But as we mentioned, the Hutton Motorsports guys fitting, they all have new schemes here tonight. The 24, the 88, the 8 car, a lot of them have new schemes, and we'll see those as they qualify. But not, so far, actually, they didn't qualify, so a lot of drivers opting out here for the race tonight.
Yeah, and that's really where you see there's quite a bit of dichotomy in the field as far as qualifying goes. Usually in most of the other tracks, people most likely qualify. But here, really, you'll have guys that will qualify, want to be up towards the front of the field, and you have guys that don't want to qualify, want to be at the back of the field. So there's a big difference between the two. So we're going to see that as the race goes. We're going to see guys starting to drop to the back and guys trying to pull up to the front very early on.
Mark Emerson will be sitting on pole, and looks like Chris Garrett, the number 57, will be on the outside of row number 1. And obviously that 57 of Chris Garrett had a great run last week at Las Vegas, his first run of the season. His qualifying is completed. We'll grid these guys up and go ready to go racing for 94 laps here around Talladega.
Yeah, finished second there, so really doing well at the moment. He's currently 21st in the standings. That finished last week, put him up 18 positions from where he was. So with only 2 starts, he's doing pretty well with the guys around him having 3 and 4 starts.
All right, Finian, let's talk strategy here. 94 laps, it's a long one at Talladega tonight. Obviously, you don't want to go out there and race too hard at the beginning and get yourself into trouble, but I always ask this, but are you a guy that likes to ride up front, or do you like to hang out in the back and wait for the end of the race?
I'm more of a guy that likes to ride out in the back during the race. I think up toward the front, and this is not really for in every single field of drivers, but in some cases you'll have guys who are driving really aggressive on lap 10 when it feels like they're driving on lap 80 or 90. So I typically like to stay towards the back. Kind of keeps you out of trouble, and if a wreck were to happen up in front, you have time to at least avoid it or try to avoid it. If you're up in the front, you find yourself sometimes in that wreck. So I think I would like to stay towards the back.
Can I play devil's advocate here for a second?
Go for it.
These guys last couple weeks have put on some races with very, very few cautions. And I predict that this one's going to go pretty green. And that I'd like to be towards the front just in case those packs get separated. I would rather be defensive up front than running towards the rear and having to chase the field down. So we'll see how it goes here tonight, Finian. But the way these guys have been running, I think I'd want to be more aggressive here tonight.
Yeah, here's a real interesting thing. We talk about strategy, too. Here's another little bit of strategy. These guys can go about 31 laps on a tank with the amount of fuel they have in there, running limited fuel, I believe 80%. But from lap 32, you'll be able to make one more stop. So pretty close on fuel here.
Yeah, I think a caution or two might help them, but I think if a caution comes out, tires are not a deal at all tonight. We won't have to worry about that, but I think definitely drivers will be trying to stretch it on fuel a little bit. So Mark Emerson starting up front, right in front of the 43 car this week. A new entry here in Jacob Hall. And Jacob Hall, to my knowledge, if I take a look at the iRating chart here, 6,100 iRating here, Finney. They actually don't let him race normal speedways. This is his only opportunity so far this season to race because it's a restrictor plate.
Yeah, so we'll keep an eye on how he's going to do as the night goes on.
All right, let's take a look at our starting lineup. Starting on the front row, Mark Emerson in the number 22 Ford Fusion with Unreal Esports on the side of that car. Chris Garrett, the number 57, got a paint scheme loaded on the car this week. He'll be in a ZL1 starting on the outside of the front row. Jacob Hall, Brian Chambliss in row number 2 in the 43 and the 21. And those guys both in Chevrolet Camaros. A lot of Camaro presentations here tonight. Back in 5th and 6th, Ben Bafford in the number 60 Toyota, one of our Dash for Cash drivers, starting alongside Jordan Ashland, another Dash for Cash driver. You can see on the side of the cars, if I can find one here in the graphic, the side of the cars that are in the Dash for Cash, they have green numbers, Finian. So anyone that's looking on the racetrack, you can look at the ticker and at the side of the car. Green numbers indicates Dash for Cash, $30 to the highest finishing Dash for Cash driver at the end of the race. Eli Hitton, Liam Sheen starting back in 9th and 10th, and the rest of the field scrolling along the bottom of your screen here, Finian. So 94 laps, we'll get ready to go racing here as the pace car's on the back straight.
Yeah, basically half a lap to go till these guys go green, and it's going to be a lot of anticipation, especially going through the trial hole. Remember, start-finish line not in the middle of the trial hole as is tradition in most ovals. It's actually after trial hole, so a lot of anticipation for these guys to build up. Hopefully they don't wreck under before the start, as which does happen in some fields, but these guys should be more than fine enough to go green without any wrecks.
You can see on the graphic there the start-finish well past that tri-oval portion. 79 degrees on the track, 66 in the air. A cool morning here in the Virtual Racing League as we make our way out of turn number 4. Not a whole lot of wind, partly cloudy conditions. It's a beautiful morning here in Talladega, Alabama. We're ready to go racing. And it's time for 94 laps at Talladega Superspeedway. Pace car pulls off, leaving the field in the hands of Mark Emerson in the 22 car. The 57 of Chris Garrett will be starting on the outside. They come to the green, waiting for that green flag to drop. And we are green here at Talladega. And Mark Emerson leads him down.
And he's already getting a push from that 43. They're ready and hooked up, and they're ready to go to the front, trying to get around the 57 of Garrett.
Garrett all by himself out there. The 21 of Brian Chambliss did not get a great start, so as they work their way through turn 1 and 2, look at Ben Bafford closing up into 3rd, if he can get by that 57 car.
Yeah, Bafford, with a great qualifying effort, started in 5th, is trying to move up to the front here. He's currently in 3rd after half a lap.
Huge field here tonight as we head off into turn number 3. Cars spreading out, getting themselves into line to settle down for the long nap here this afternoon. A nap at 200 miles an hour. They roll through turns 3 and 4 to complete lap number 1. Oh, the 20 car of Daffin drops in front of Liam Sheen back there. That'll be for the 10th spot. So far, so good. Pretty orderly up front here.
Yeah, and if you notice too, if you look from Jim George in about, where is he, in 21st? If you look on back from that, you see a small little pack already starting to form.
Well, and that pack is all Hutton Motorsports cars, all Chevrolet Camaros, or affiliated teams at least, the 24, the 8. And there's also, where's the 88 car? Oh, Eric Hutton's all by himself up there in 14th.
Yeah, also seeing some of the SMT guys also finding themselves. So both of those teams electing to stay towards back, and so I was talking about that difference between guys who want to be up in the front, guys who want to be in the back. Absolutely.
So completing lap number 2 already. The field pretty tight up here for the front, but in line and orderly for the moment. Liam Sheen is elected to take that outside lane in that number 99. Got a little bit of 3 wide action behind him. That's the 42 car of Connor Horn. And this week his paint scheme is not vandalized by us. He's got just the race over graphic on the back. We were playing with his emotions last week. It was a lot of fun. Connor's a good sport. On the back straight, pass for the lead. Here comes the 43 car on the outside. You're fitting with push from, I believe that's Jeremy Miller. No, that's Ben Baffert in the 60 behind him.
Yeah, trying to give him the push to the front, and he will.
They'll take that inside lane.
Leader. And as these guys come out of Ford, looking through, not too many really big movers other than the 13 of Eli Hinton.
Look just behind these guys, Finian. The 14 car of Bruce Boyer went to the outside lane to pick up Connor Horn. A little bit of a late move there, but he managed to get it done. But yeah, you mentioned the battle up front here, a little bit intense. Chambliss side by side with Baffert. These guys are going pretty hard for the lead. Jacob Hall obviously has a lot of experience here, commanding the lead on the back straight so far.
And here comes the 21 trying to charge to the outside of Chambliss. Chambliss trying to charge to the outside of Hall. He's got help from Garrett and Sheen behind him.
And Justin Egan, another one of those Dash for Cash drivers. And Eli Hinton popping inside the top 10, 8th here early in the going. Started back in the 9th spot, so not a whole lot of progress for him so far, but maybe just trying to ride in with that juxtapost number 13. And Jeremiah Vincent in the number 8 car has a very special paint scheme on board. Of course, the hood is commemorating David Cater, longtime iRacer and friend of the iRacing community that has recently passed away. And is, of course, running a great paint scheme in tribute of David Cater's life here tonight. So I want to thank Jeremiah for running that. He's back in 22nd right now behind Eric Hutton. As we head back up towards the front here, Finian, still pretty intense battle for the lead.
Yeah, pretty intense. None of these guys are planning on backing down at the moment. But only 4 cars remain on that outside lane, and it seems to be dropping off more and more. And as I say that, there goes Daffin to the outside, joining that outside lane.
Working their way through the tri-oval to complete lap number 5 and head to lap number 6. Ben Baffert taking command of the Dash for Cash early in the going here.
Yeah, actually, him and the 71 of... I'm trying to find who that is.
Yeah, it's Justin Egan.
Egan. Oh, and Ashlyn as well. They're one of the only guys in this lead pack at the moment. Everyone else is kind of scattered throughout the field.
I just noticed that Baffert's name is not lit up in green. I believe that his iRacing ID I pulled is probably not actually him. It might be under a slightly different name, so that's all right. But Ben Baffert, obviously, the name on the number on the roof and door is what you're looking at. The bright green obviously symbolizes Dash for Cash. The other drivers are lit up in green and works for them. So keep in mind that 60 car is running for the $30 bonus at the end of this one.
Glad they make these guys run those numbers. It's really nice and helps to look out for on the track.
Absolutely. Alec Daffin, you mentioned he was up to the outside a minute ago, but has dropped back in line, just maybe biding some time. How about Bailey Turner in the number 24 back here? Right in front of Eric Hutton and Jeremiah Vincent all working together here early, so those cars have found each other, and they're on the back straight now.
Yeah, talk about biding time. These guys are definitely biding their time here in the back. They've got about half a straightaway behind the lead pack, but again, they're in a single file line, and their old teammates planning on working together. Well, most of them are old teammates with different teams at least. And if they really wanted to go, they can definitely start to get going. But you can tell that they're trying to wait for just in case for the big one to happen.
Yeah, and there's still a long time left in this race. They're keeping themselves in touch, and they're very well organized, Finian. So that means that they can easily go down and chase that field if need be. Obviously, they're racing pretty hard up front, so it's always an opportunity for a crash to happen. So these guys trying to keep it in check here tonight so far. Out of turn 2, the 21 of Chambliss is beginning to drop back from that outside lane. Eli Hinton's going to take that spot on the inside, move that 13 car up to the 5th spot.
Yeah, it looks like that outside lane's starting to lose a little bit of steam. And that could be, we could potentially see this front pack start to go single file here within a few laps.
Just ticking off laps here early at Talladega. 6 of Chris Gutierrez. We've been pronouncing that wrong for months, by the way, Finian.
Oh, have we?
Yeah,
Oh.
I talked to him prior to the race. He says he's fine with whatever pronunciation. He says that Gutierrez is the more, quote, Spanish pronunciation. I asked him if he was Spanish. He said, well, not really. And so I said, well, why are we pronouncing it like that then? So, Chris Gutierrez. And Ben Baffert has jumped up to the outside lane, losing a little bit of ground. 3 wide on the back straightaway. Oh, wow, the 22 shoots to the middle of the racetrack. 3 wide for the lead here at Talladega.
Wow, and that changed within a blink of an eye here, 3 wide already.
And Jeremy Miller in the middle of that as well as the 57 of Chris Garrett. A little bit early to be 3 wide, and I think that's why those Hutton Motorsports cars were back trying to stay away from this mess in case something happens.
Yeah, it looks like Baffert's backed out now. He's fallen into the outside line, but has lost a lot of spots here.
And just
we'll
like
go
that,
from second back out of the top 10 pretty much.
And just like that, the Dash for Cash scenario has shifted and put Jordan Ashland in the 27. Oh, caution on the racetrack. Who is it? It looks like it's going to be... Oh, the 14 car, Bruce Boyer, spun around. Is that... It might be... Jim George was also spun, as well as the 25 car of Michael Blanton.
Yeah, this is actually in that pack that was laying back.
Interesting.
Interestingly enough, so...
Let's go back and find out what happened. Alright, so this is coming out of turn number 4. And you see that 25 car was at the 12 of Jim George. Did they make contact here? Or was it the 14 that started it? A little bit out. Oh, yeah, the 12 car got in the back of the 25, spun him around. Oh, wow, huge crash for the 12 car, Finian. Big impact for...
Yeah, ooh.
Yeah, that was not a good situation.
Reminiscent of Carl Edwards' wreck in 2009.
Yes.
And actually, if we can, I would love if we can get an onboard shot from the 11 of
Eddie Trejo. Yep.
You got a fantastic
view of that was wild.
Yeah, not a scratch on that Dr. Pepper machine, so he will continue on in this race.
I tell you, there's a lot of scratches on the 12 of Jim George. He took a massive hit into that catch fence. And thankfully, with an iRacing, I don't have to go repair that. But pretty wild accident. You see the 25 get turned, and the 14 gets hooked and up into the concrete barrier. Up and over. We want to ride again one more time with Trejo here. See if we can not get... Maybe a little bit, here's a little slow motion shot of the whole ordeal. So you can see the 50 right in front of him. And then, yeah, the 12 just gets into that left rear, spins the 25 around, hooks the 14 back into the 12, and the 11 car goes underneath Jim and George. And John Rodden managed to get through that without any damage. So a 3-car incident here early at Talladega has caused the first caution here tonight.
Yeah, that's unfortunate for the 25. That's Michael Blanton. It's his first start in VRL, as far as we are aware.
Yep.
So he actually got up with relatively minimal damage, just some damage to the nose after getting into Bruce Boyer.
Yeah, really all he did was spin around and just hook that 14 up, but the 14 and 12 obviously going to have a ton of damage. Connor Horn has stayed out on the racetrack here, Finian.
Interesting stuff here. That's probably might be just to lead a lap here.
Always playing the points game.
And, I mean, you know, he's the points leader, so might as well play a little bit smart here. Lead a lap, come back in, and just work your way through the pack. That's kind of the beauty with the Super Speedway racing, is that you can do something like this, and you'll be put back in about 28th, but you could easily draft up there within 15, 20 laps with a little bit of patience.
So Jacob Hall in that 43 car started in 3rd, has not really gone anywhere but forward. Is sitting in 2nd right now. I would say I think this 43 car might be one of the cars to beat here tonight. So far, he's proven he's very strong, as well as the 22 of Emerson. Mark Emerson has had a pretty rough year so far, Finney. Las Vegas didn't go extremely well for him. New Hampshire was a mess. But getting that 22 Unreal Esports car back up towards the front.
Yeah, it's a long time coming for him. I think looking for a nice finish. Has a little bit of internet issues there. but is still going to be back on the track and is going to be starting in second.
So the only 2 cars that have retired are the 14 of Bruce Boyer and the 12 of Jim George. Everyone else still out on the racetrack, relatively undamaged. And you see the rest of the field coming out there. There's the 24 car and the 88 and others. John Rodden, the 96, 26 of Steve Turner, and the 11 of Eddie Trejo. Jacob Paul, Finian, does he have his motor shut off? Is he saving fuel in that 43 car? Thinking about the long game here. It's never a bad idea to save fuel. There's no reason not to.
There's no cost to do it other than manually having to switch the car off and put the clutch in. It's the only really negative side. I guess they have to do manual work under caution. But other than that, yeah, there's no point to not save fuel.
Well, the caution laps are so long here at Talladega, it's almost just something to keep yourself entertained.
Yeah, and here comes Connor Horn down to the pits.
A little bit. I mean, I guess you're playing the points game, but I can't say I'm not surprised by that a little bit. But I guess the track position doesn't matter here so early, and the 30 car of Jeremy Miller and the 20 of Alec Daffin will also follow him down. And Ben Baffert. Go ahead.
I was actually kind of surprised. Well, not surprised. I was kind of curious if Connor Horn would have decided to maybe stay out and continue on, because either way, these guys still have to make 2 more stops.
Yeah, I mean, that's why I was surprised. I thought you would have stayed out until the tank ran out of fuel, but Jacob Hall assumes the lead here in that 43 car. Mark Emerson will be starting on the outside of that first row. Eli Hinton in 3rd, Justin Egan in 4th. So Egan will be the top Dash for Cash runner right now. Take a look at our conditions here. How much have they changed? A little bit warmer than when we started. 81 degrees on the racetrack, 66 in the air. Still a cool morning here at Talladega.
Yeah, officially 9 o'clock at the moment in the sim. So you expect it, as time goes on and the sun starts to rise, you expect the track to get a little bit hotter. It shouldn't be too really big of an effect on these guys until you start getting to the 110s maybe. Then they'll probably find it quite slick, but right now, it should be pretty fine for these drivers.
Yeah, I don't think the temperature is going to affect a whole lot, but it's certainly going to take shape at other races. We saw last night in the Race Hardline Midwest Power Source Cup race at Watkins Glen how much the temperature swing affected the cars there. Obviously, a lot less grip available at Watkins Glen than a place like Talladega, but yeah, still something interesting to keep an eye on. You see how long the shadows are. It's still a beautiful addition to the iRacing simulation service.
Yeah, and one thing, honestly, just talking about the temperature, really, one thing I would actually love to see iRacing do is, or just find some way to do it, is just get a graph of the temperature changes over time.
Oh, that would be
really
cool.
neat to have.
Yeah, you could probably do something like that with a script, but that's math.
That's work, and I don't know how to. I don't know how to write scripts.
Yeah, I don't either. Of course, you see Jeremiah Vincent's car commemorating David Cater. Actually, might be able to get a better view riding on board the rear of Eric Hutton. There we go. Now, we'll talk to Jeremiah Vincent later in this race, if we get an opportunity to.
Yeah, we'll try to talk to him next caution that we have, and I will be absolutely astounded if we go the next 80 laps without at least one caution.
Yeah. The rest of those guys heading back down pit road, all the Hutton Motorsports cars and a few extras here. If anyone coming back down to top off?
Might be to top off, also might be for these guys maybe to realign themselves towards the back. They might just sit in their pit stalls, just try to group up together again. That could be that as well.
Well, 1 lap to green here for the restart. We'll restart lap number 15. Still a long way to go, over an hour left of racing. Thanks for joining us here tonight on your Saturday evening. Tomorrow night we have the Scars Winter Stock Car Series Class B from Richmond Raceway. It'll be 9 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time live tomorrow. That'll be the first time that we do those guys so far for their winter season, so we're excited for that. We'll be off Monday. Tuesday, we're back with the Fuel Cup Series finale from Las Vegas Motor Speedway. And that championship all but wrapped up. That number 2 of Greg Evans has been so phenomenal this year, especially on the speedways. We'll see if he can defend and maintain the dominance that he's had so far this year. All right, well, things are going well so far here. For the 22, the 13, and the 43, those are your top 3 drivers at the moment as we work our way down the back straightaway. See all those green numbers, the 71, the 27, and the 60, all Dash for Cash drivers. There's a little bit more incentive, Finian. So if you're a guy that, if you're leading the race here and you got a Dash for Cash driver behind you and a non-Dash for Cash driver, which one do you pick? Because I would wager that these guys would rather have someone that's not in the Dash for Cash because they're not going to be so willing to jump out of line to gain another couple spots.
I would almost kind of like to have the Dash for Cash driver just because you know that you're going to have someone that's going to push you and also going to try to finish the race under green because they know if yellow comes out that they're going to get squat. So it can kind of also help to have them behind as well.
Yeah, so different perspectives there, but I guess we'll see how it turns out. Still got a lot of racing left, as we mentioned. The 43 of Jacob Paul, the 22 of Mark Emerson on the front row for the restart, then the 13 of Eli Hinton, and Justin Egan making up row number 2. Pace car will roll off the racetrack. A little bit of a long stretch down to that green flag. And we see sustained speeds well over 195 miles an hour, so the action will not slow down. Coming back to the green flag. And Hall in control. We'll wait for that flag to drop. And a lot of single file cars behind here, Finian, already organized, ready to go racing. Green flag back in the air here at Talladega for the Virtual Racing League.
You already see everyone very spread out on the start.
Yeah, this has been well, there doesn't seem to be much of a sense of urgency so far here, Finian. So these guys have taken their time and organizing themselves, getting themselves single file. See, a little bit farther back, Alec Martinez in the Craftsman number 18 with Alec Daffin behind him and Brian Chambliss around him as well. Mostly single file around the whole track. Back here, there's a little bit of argy-bargy in the racing strategy going back here. The 24 of Turner, the 88 of Hutton, and the 36 of Butler on the outside of Connor Horn and Jeremy Miller in the 30.
Yeah, already some small packs kind of forming in. The top 7 have broken themselves away from the rest of the field.
Justin Egan steps out of line in the 71, and the 31 of Angelo Ronis will drop in behind him, but looks like they'll bail on that idea and drop back into lineup for the back straight.
Here's an interesting notion. If you look at the last pack led by Bailey Turner, a lot of these guys are running the high line.
Interested about that here, Finian. What advantages does running the high line really give you?
I mean, nothing really much that I've seen from in the sim. In real life, guys usually can run the high line pretty well, but not so much here. I mean, yeah, I can't think of anything, but they seem to be more comfortable up there, I guess.
Well, here's my theory, and you can tell me how right or wrong I am about this, is I've seen a lot of racing go on at Talladega within iRacing, and I can always tell you, Finian, the place to be to make passes is usually that outside lane, the middle of the outside lane, because the inside gets pinched on down. So there's got to be something to sustain speed to be up on the top, Finian. So maybe they're just hoping that if they get a draft going up there, they can maintain a slightly higher speed with a little bit less...
Oh, there's a crash in the back straightaway.
Oh. Caution out on the racetrack. Oh, the Jordan Ashland in the 27 spun around on the back straight. Looks like he's all by himself. And doesn't look to be a whole lot of damage. Maybe a little bit of nose damage to that 27 car. But caution out, lap number 17 again. Hopefully we can get a better look at his car here. Oh, actually pretty significant nose damage there to the 27 car. Let's go back and find out what happened. Oh, he actually had a big lick here. Who was that was behind him? It was the 71 of Egan.
71.
And, yeah, the 27 moved up the racetrack, then kind of pulled back down a little bit and hard impact into the safer barrier on the inside. So a single car incident there. And he...
Yeah,
go ahead.
And that's the trouble really with this Gen 6 car compared to its Gen 5 predecessor, is the fact that the Gen 5s were pretty flat on the nose. You can kind of move around back and forth on the back bumper with these Gen 6 cars that were pointed and rounded at the front. So just a little knock at these speeds can send a car around like what you saw with the 27 Ashland.
And Jordan did a great job of holding those brakes, because I know Jeremy Miller was coming with a ton of head of steam here. Let's ride on board with Miller as he navigates this accident. You can just see up the road, you see the cars scatter. You'll see that 27 car slam that inside wall and slide back up, and look at Jeremy Miller hoping to get by it. Oh, he jammed on the brakes. Didn't panic, though, which is good, because it's very easy to get yourself in a bad situation if you panic.
Yeah, did a great job of avoiding that. It could have been a lot worse had he been involved, so his car is going to continue on.
It's right on board the roll bar cam here with the 27 of Ashland. And just gets hooked, and nothing you can do at that point. You're just a passenger. All right, so caution out here for the second time here tonight. And we'll wait for the pit stops to complete, and then we'll talk to Jeremiah Vincent in that number 8 car, and he'll be our in-race reporter here tonight, as long as we can get a hold of him. So far at Talladega, 2 cautions in 19 laps, 1 3-car incident and 1 single-car incident. The most recent being Jordan Ashland in the back straightaway wall. You see the skid marks way down there on the racetrack. And pit stops underway once again for some drivers as they choose to come back down, top off of fuel a little bit. A little bit surprised maybe that they're coming down quite so much, but I guess, again, track position not really a huge concern this early. Of course, Jordan Ashland's going to be at a big deficit in that Dash for Cash running there, Finney, and that might be the end of his hopes for that little bonus prize here tonight.
Yeah, I think his car's pretty much done and torn up. He's pretty much going to be just out there running for points. Biggest beneficiary from that caution to come out, though, was the 35 of Joshua Banks. He actually lagged out of the server and joined back, but was unfortunately put two laps down at the time of the caution. He'll get one of those laps back from getting the free pass.
Oh, good timing for him.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's, Finney, if you could go see if you could grab the driver, the number 8, Jeremiah Vincent, that would be great. I'd like to talk to him about that Hutton Motorsports paint scheme and what he's got on the hood here tonight. Hey, Jeremiah Vincent, Kyle from the SimTV booth. You got a copy?
Copy.
All right, well, how's it going so far? Looks like you're working with some teammates right now, riding in the 18th position, but a little bit chaotic out there so far, at least up front.
Yeah, we're predicting, but talking a lot before the race, thinking that possibly would happen. That's why we got some buddies back here, just hanging out, trying to make sure we take care of our stuff, be there at the end.
What's the plan towards what's the plan for the lap that you're going forward? Like lap 80, lap 85, 15, 20 to go?
Actually, about midway.
Oh, okay.
We'll try to start working our way up there.
All right, well, I'll let you get back to your team. Good luck out there, and keep yourself out of trouble.
All right, thank you.
No problem. So that's Jeremiah Vincent, and we'll talk to him again later tonight if we get the opportunity.
Yeah, as you can see, that interesting notion there is that they're waiting till only halfway. They're not actually waiting till later on to start moving to the front.
Yeah,
so.
I like that strategy, though. I think by halfway, most of the carnage has been cleared up, and most people have figured out what they can and can't do. So I like that idea. I mean, it's a little bit risky at times, especially if there's a lot of the field left. But, yeah, I mean, I think definitely waiting too long is a big mistake. So I think halfway is probably a good place to go. And again, it'll probably be lap, what, we were trying 47-ish?
Yeah.
All right, well, field working onto the back straightaway here. Still coming around, probably get one to go next time by, as Joshua Banks is 1 lap down. Has gone in for pit service and is back out on the racetrack. Take a look at our conditions here. 83 degrees, so temperature still steadily climbing here this morning at Talladega. All right, well, you got your eye on anybody specific, Finney? And I still think that 43 car is going to be the one to beat, but Mark Emerson and Angelo Ronis, actually, that 31 car started in 21st up to 2nd, so Ronis is coming forward pretty quick. Remember what happened at Daytona, avoided that big one, and got himself a pretty decent finish out of it.
Yeah, I don't know. I would say at the moment, and it's definitely going to change as the race goes, I would say probably the 22 Emerson. He seems to be lining up pretty well there towards the front, and I can imagine he's very hungry for a win and knows that this is probably one of his best places to do it, especially with the track position he has.
All right.
But yeah, I would say for that question, you would probably have to ask me with 15 laps, 20 or 15 laps to go, because that's really where we're going to see the big, a lot of the big players come towards the front, especially from SMT and HUD Motorsports, because they're both those teams are playing it very conservative.
Well, the only safe time to really ask what's going to happen is after the race is over. I think even then sometimes it's a little bit chaotic because you end up having photo finishes and no one knows where anyone else finished. But we should be coming to 1 to green this time by. We'll double back up. The 22 of Emerson and the 31 of Veronis will line back up. And again, I wanted to make a correction from Casey Lakatos in the number 50. We were pronouncing that the past couple weeks as Lakatos, but it's Lakatis in the number 50 car. So he's back out on the racetrack in what should be about 14th spot. Oh, he's going to... Oh, that was almost a contact on pit road. Luckily, he was still ghosted, but trying to get some very specific positions out of that 50 car for the restart. Looks like he'll pop out in the 14th position. All right, so field lining back up. Justin Egan in third, the highest running of the Dash for Cash drivers so far. The 21 of Brian Chambliss on the outside. Then it's AJ Stravato. Where did he come from? He started back in the 20th spot up to 5th. And Liam Sheen in that Sim TV number 99. He'll be starting on the outside of row number 3 for the restart.
Yeah, and with the amount of people that just came into the pits coming to 1 to go for the restart, we're only going to have 6 cars starting on the outside line.
That was kind of similar to the last restart as well. I mean, with so many people pitting again, it really messes up the double file restart structure, and most people end up starting single file, but they seem to like that back there. I think that's definitely planned, and that way they don't have any of the chaos of people trying to get themselves organized. They just start in a line and stay in a line until the next caution happens. All right, well, we'll be returning to the green flag racing here in just a moment. Riding on board now with Liam Sheen. Started back in the 10th spot, and has been kind of riding around there for most of the race, but racing the Race Hardline Cup Series last night at Watkins Glen did not have the night he wanted, so trying to rebound here a little bit tonight at the restrictor plate side of things. This is about as different as you can get from a road course.
Yeah, definitely, really. Essentially, you're going straight for most of this race, not really turning. It doesn't feel like you're turning, at least the way you drive this track.
I think we just got a... Oh, no, we didn't. I was trying to see if we got a caution extension. It was just my ticker having an issue.
Oh, no, we did.
Oh, there. Well, hey, I actually predicted the future because I literally hit the wrong button and thought that we were going to get a caution extension, and then we did. So I should go buy a lottery ticket now.
Probably should. Tell me how that goes.
Probably not well. What else we got coming up on the schedule? Wednesday night Virtual Mars action. That'll be Mustangs and MX-5s from Summit Point for a 30-minute finale on Wednesday night at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time. That series fitting has been a phenomenal experience. Dave Fitzgerald from over there puts on a great show. Obviously, those are real race car drivers from the SCCA, the Washington, D.C. area, and man, do they show their skill on the road courses. Last week it was at Daytona, the 2.4 hours. Great race there. The week prior to that was at Watkins Glen. Another great show there. Obviously, the Mustang field got kind of cannibalized in the first corner. But again, we head to where it all started at Summit Point, their home track, to complete their, was it 7 or 8 week season that they've had so far here this winter. And we should be back with them. They actually might run a spring series as well. So stay tuned on the SimTV Twitter for updates on that. And we'll see if Virtual Mars will make a return in the early spring.
Yeah, and then also on Thursday we got the Fuel IndyCar finale. It's the 3rd finale that week.
Lots of things finishing this week.
Yeah, they're going to be at Auto Club, so that's going to be a fantastic race. Auto Club and IndyCar put on some great shows. They sadly haven't been able to return back there in real life.
Yeah, but, Auto Club is a fantastic racetrack for IndyCar, and I'm excited to conclude a race there on Thursday night. Friday, no hardline action as we normally would see it, but there will be a fun run at the Roval at 9:30 Eastern Time, the same time that they normally run. So if you got nothing going on, head on over to Hardline to run at the road course. I will certainly be there, and you can race against, hopefully Finian will be there as well, so you guys can race us. So that'll be a lot of fun. We don't really get a lot of opportunities to race.
No, we do not.
So I just did my first couple official races in several months the past couple of days and enjoyed them quite well, although my Mustang race didn't go quite as I would have liked it to, with those blue turtle shells at the Roval. No turtles here tonight, just a lot of fast stock cars. Mark Emerson going to be the leader here for the restart on lap number 23. Still a long way to go. 59 minutes of racing remaining. If we go green, Angelo Ronis on the outside with Brian Chambliss behind him. And green flag flies again here at Talladega. Mark Emerson is going to lead them down. They're waiting a long time to get that green flag. There it goes. And we're racing again in Talladega.
You see that Emerson got a pretty good start there and left a gap for Ronis to get in line.
A little bit of contact between the 99 of Sheen and the 20 of Daffin in turn 1. The 99 pulled down, maybe thought he was clear, but a little bit of door contact there, but they'll make it out alive and continue onto the back straightaway now. Sheen will drop in behind the 43 of Jacob Hall as the rest of the field gets single filed out, leaving Brian Chambliss all by himself in that outer lane. Behind him, there's Connor Horn in the 42 getting back up towards the front, following Eli Hinton, Ben Baffert, and Liam Sheen.
Yeah, a small little group trying to reclaim some positions that they lost, especially Connor Horn after dropping back from trying to get a point for leading a lap under the caution. He's trying to work his way back up.
Back up to speed here at Dega. Ben Baffert drops to the inside lane and leaves Chambliss all by himself out there. And this is kind of the time in the race when if you don't have teammates, you're looking for alliances right now. You're trying to see who will work with you, maybe aligning along manufacturer lines. I know there are definitely some strong opinions within this league about which manufacturers deserve a spot, but now we're side by side for the lead. And the 31 of Ronis is going to get help from Justin Egan. Will drive around Mark Emerson with absolutely no contest there, and he'll drop into line. Egan will also fit in that hole, and AJ Stravato up to 4th.
Yeah, Egan the leading driver of the Dash for Cash drivers, currently in 2nd.
Connor Horn tucking the line back there as well. He's another one of those Dash for Cash drivers and is getting himself back up there for sure. And you saw how aggressive he is without money on the line. Imagine with it. That 42 car will be a force to reckon with by the end of the night.
Yeah, and I know I'm going to be corrected by this in about half a lap, but these guys are single file at the moment.
Be corrected about half a corner.
Waiting for someone to jump out of line here.
Pretty orderly down the back straight for now. A couple of guys struggling with connections here tonight, Finian, so hopefully that doesn't affect the racing later. Obviously, if you don't have a solid connection, your bumper won't be solid, and that makes it real hard to push.
Yeah, and you also lose the effect of the draft, so this is probably one of the worst places to have connection issues at.
And it's not just one guy.
Terrifying.
It's several people here tonight really struggling with those connection problems. And Eli Hinton to the outside following Jacob Hall. That's a good guy to follow for Hinton, so I'd like that bet if I were in that 13 car.
Yeah, but currently no one else wants to really work with them at the moment, so they might slip back a little bit until they can get really hooked up and start moving to the front. And see Egan up in 2nd place. Looks like he's trying to go around 31, and he will.
Mark
Emerson looked like he was going to go with him, but actually decided to leave him. He's going to go to the inside with Ronis.
An interesting decision there.
So Emerson left the 71 up to dry, and I'm sure he will remember that.
Well, the outside line forming up again, Finney. And the 43 and the 13 have picked up Ben Baffert there as well, so 4 cars in that outer lane. Looks like Chambliss is also tacking on to the end of that group, so we might have another battle for the lead. A little bit of chaotic there. Liam Sheen not sure what lane to be in as we cross the line here. Finishing lap 26. We're 3 wide here. This is back for about 6th place.
Yeah, it looks like these guys did not want to work with Egan,
yeah,
so Egan will be in the sucker hole.
Hung out to dry there. The 13 and the 43 close on the quarter panel. Watch out there, Eli. To the inside of the 43 out of turn number 2. Are we 4 wide? Looks like we are for a second. Almost. See Alec Martinez bailing out on the outside line. Kind of hanging out behind Baffert a couple car lengths.
Yeah, I think he senses maybe some danger, but Egan's going to fall back to the inside line. Back 2 wide.
The 43 really trying to get around the outside of the 21 car. Egan pops out of line for a second, and Egan pushed the 31 to the lead, but other than that, we haven't really seen Egan work very well with anybody here tonight. Obviously at Daytona, he was really pushing hard. I believe he was working with Alec Martinez in the 18 at Daytona. Yeah, that 71, known for pushing a lot, but some drivers tonight might just want to ride around. Look who's popped inside the top 5, Alec Daffin. started back in the 8th spot, but was a little bit farther back than that for the majority of the race up to now. Has now gotten himself solidly inside the top 5 and right on the rear bumper of AJ Stravato in that 33 car.
And I would say a little bit even more impressive than that is that the 31 and the 33, Angelo Ronis and AJ Stravato, Ronis started 21st and Stravato started 20th, and they worked themselves up to the front of the field.
Chambliss out to dry in turn number 1, to the outside of the 13. So Hinton will clear him out of turn number 2. Chris Gutierrez on the inside, waiting to make a move as well on the 21. He'll get there. And the 50 of Casey Lakatos following through.
And Chambliss taking he's going to fall a long way back to where Alec Martinez is. And he'll shove his car down in line. And we are back single file here at the front for the first 15 cars.
Chris Gutierrez had another idea there for a second. He'll take Lakatos with him. Will anybody else go up there, Finian? Seems like everyone's pretty content running where they are right now. We're only on lap 30, so not even a third of the way through this race. And I think drivers are just trying to get themselves till farther. They're just going to kind of tick off those laps and wait a little while.
Yeah, I think that's where we're seeing most of the field thinking that way of, hey, we got 60 laps to go, and there's not really much point in doing anything at the moment right now.
A lot of position swapping going on here now, yep.
Yeah, and actually the entire outside line that looked like they were forming up, they went to the inside line and left Lakatos out to the outside. He's going to fall back.
Well, let's take another look at the second pack here. I haven't looked at them since the restart. Bailey Turner leads it. Eric Hutton, Steve Turner, Jeremiah Vincent, Elliott Butler, the first guys in line there. But there's also Michael Blanton involved in that first wreck. Looks like he's back up to speed as well as Chris Garrett in the 57. Started in the second spot, has done nothing but drift back so far tonight, so he's trying to get himself back up to the outside of Joshua Banks, who is currently 1 lap down, just trying to wait for another yellow to get that free pass. Justin Egan on the outside once again on the back straightaway, trying to find help, but not getting it.
Yeah, again, I think just most of the field is kind of just happy where they are at the moment, and not many people are looking to move up any more spots.
Riding on the gyro cam of Justin Egan. It's amazing how much banking there is here. Over 30 degrees of banking at Talladega. It's several stories from the bottom to the top.
Yeah, the cameras, the TV cameras just don't do it justice how steep the banking is. You can barely walk up the banking. It's so steep.
So again, you can see almost, it's basically corner to corner on the screen right now. It's how much that banking is. And he's got the 18 of Alec Martinez to the inside. I haven't talked a lot about Alec in a little while, but he's had some pretty good runs here this season. And was having a great run at New Hampshire before I ended up in the wall, and that night didn't go very well for him, even though he had a great start to it. A little bit of argy-bargy up here, Finian. Jacob Paul to the inside of Connor Horn, the 42 and 43 battling for 6th.
And that was actually Horn jumping out of line on the outside of Liam Sheen trying to get that spot. And then it looks like he's falling back and no one wants to work with him.
I know there was a lot of discussion in the garage area about Connor Horn and how he walked into this series this year. He had a didn't care attitude. He walked in, was really, really fast right out of the gate and didn't apologize for it. At New Hampshire, there was that controversial interview post-race, and then goes out at Las Vegas and put his money where his mouth was, and went out and won that race. And I know that gained a lot of respect from a lot of people in the garage area, so that might pay off for him later here tonight, as people finally saw him put all that energy towards a victory, and it was certainly an astounding one last week at Las Vegas.
Yeah, I mean, definitely, man's got a lot of talent. Probably should have another win next to his name this season. He's shown a lot of speed, so. Yeah, put his money where his mouth was last week at Vegas, and then you actually see on the outside Jordan Ashland.
Yeah,
pulling a lap down.
Got a little chaotic there for a moment as people were trying to figure out how to deal with that lap down car, and Eli Hinton will get to the inside of Gutierrez and drive right up behind Jacob Hall once again, but Gutierrez on the outside of Jeremy Miller now, and that outside lane beginning to form again. Martinez tacked onto the back. Hinton drops up in front as the 43 follows him there. So the outside lane grabbing some more contenders here. Maybe go up and pass. But Liam Sheen waited a little bit too long, but now he goes to the top in front of Jacob Hall.
Yeah, no, it seems everyone wants to go onto the outside lane. So you really start to see how a lot of opinions of where these guys want to run change on a fly. You see Hinton go to the inside and back again.
Yeah, he bailed on that outside lane, through from top to bottom, elevator move to the inside lane, left the 43 out to drive, but the 43 will drop in behind Liam Sheen, and it's just as quick as that outside lane formed, it's died, and Chris Gutierrez is the only one left on the outside lane.
Yeah, honestly, we say it on SimTV here, not really anyone else, but as far as I know, but really, Super Speedway racing is akin pretty much to like a chess match where you got to really pick and choose where you want to go, how it's going to end you up. You almost got to think, instead of 20 turns ahead, you got to think 20 laps ahead of where you're going to be.
Well, the difference between this and chess, Finian, is that in chess, a mistake won't cost you hundreds of thousands of dollars. These guys,
unless it's for a tournament or something.
Yeah, like they put on ESPN instead of racing. Yeah, but no, I kid. But Connor Horn right now in that 42, he's looking aggressive. Has Brian Chambliss and Alec Martinez behind him, taking a look to that outside lane once again in that 42 car. And again, you mentioned if it's like a chess match, there's more strategy to this than most people think. So these guys are not only running these cars around here, having to react to everyone else's moves, but they're strategically planning in their head what their next move is going to be, thinking several corners or even laps ahead of what their actual movements are.
And they see these fields going to blow by now the 96 of John Rodden, who has right front damage and is really down on speed in that car.
Well, you know who else is down on speed right now, Finian? Justin Egan has lost the draft from that front group. This is a big deal because now he's got that other group that is fast approaching from behind. You can see him right at the corner of your screen there in the back. And when they get to Egan, they're not going to let him back in line. They're going to blow right by. This might be the loss of a draft for Justin Egan. And we're approaching pit stops here in a little while. Let's take a look. We're 26 laps into the stint here, Finian, so we're approaching a pit stop sequence, and Egan needs to find some friends.
Also should point out that Joshua Banks has has retired the car.
Oh, that's a shame.
So he'll retire in 26th position.
Not a good night for the 35. Obviously had an opportunity to run well, but internet dropped out on him, so he'll end the night in 26th, as you said. Up for the lead right now, Ronis, Emerson, Stravato, Daffin, Sheen, your top 5. Then we have, looks like Connor Horn just in front of a battle for 10th. That's between Chris Gutierrez and Ben Bafford. Bafford also in the dash for cash, but needs to get up a little bit farther up the road to catch Connor Horn, also in that battle there for that extra $30 bonus. Gutierrez snuck a crossover into Bafford and put him in the outside lane. Now, almost some contact off into turn 1, but Bafford will leave him the room.
Yeah, you can see that, some guys thinking about going to the front, some guys thinking about just staying in line. And yeah, like you said, we are going to start approaching pit stops within about 10 or so laps, I believe.
Might even be less than that at this point, but we'll see.
Yeah.
Angelo Ronis out of turn 4. Sorry to cut you off there, Finian. Leading Mark Emerson now when AJ Stravato, Daffin, Sheen still your top 5. Liam Sheen's having a good run there in that 99 car, Finian.
Yeah, having a fantastic run and hoping to do better. He's in 5th right now and is in a very prime position to get up to the front of the field. But the only problem really is that he's a new guy to the league. Doesn't really have a lot of friends to work with.
Certainly not. So he's going to have to find some friends before the end of this race if he wants to have a shot for the win, especially with those Hutton Motorsports cars back there in that second group. They are certainly all friends with each other, and we're going to make it really, really hard for anybody else later in this race, and they're all still intact right now, rolling around. So keep an eye on those Chevrolet Camaros late in the run. I bet you they'll be the ones up front contending for the win at the end. Ooh, look at the 43 of Jacob Hall. Almost got to the inside of Sheen, but didn't quite take a look. Alec Daffin riding in 4th. We mentioned this has not been a phenomenal year for the 20 car so far. I believe he actually is the series leading incident count, or at least average incident count so far. So he's been involved in a bunch of incidents so far this year and trying to improve that stat here tonight.
Yeah, has actually the second most incidents in the league. The only guy beating him in that department is Jeremy Miller. So by only one more incident. So,
speaking of Jeremy Miller, he's following the 13 car, who cannot seem to make up his mind of what lane he wanted to be in, was flirting with the outside behind Hall for a second. I've noticed that 13 and the 43 working together a lot here tonight. The 13 pulls right up in front of the 42. Connor Horn gives him a huge push through the tri-oval. Big bump there for the 13 into the back of the 43 of Jacob Hall. They'll move forward. But I was saying, Hinton and Hall are working together a lot. Why does Hinton always around other people with H names? Does he have to do that?
I don't know.
He's always
annoying.
around Horn,
It is very annoying.
Hutton, Hall. It's a tongue twister. It's not fair. He's got to find some new friends.
You talk about friends, he actually just left the 43 up on the top side.
Go find someone without an H name.
And there goes Hall back down in front of him.
I'd love for him if he could just work with like Stravato for one race to make it easy. But no, he's got to find everyone with a last name starting with an H. Make it hard on us. Tell you what, this front group is starting to kind of jostle around quite a bit here, Finney. The lines have become much less formed up, and they're kind of all over the place here. Horn now leading a charge with Chris Gutierrez and Casey Lakatos behind. Alec Martinez sitting behind this, keeping himself just out of reach in case there's trouble, but no one behind him to save him if he falls out of the draft, so he's got to keep that car right up in the draft shadow of these lead cars. Oh, a little bit of spread going on the back straightaway, Finian. Almost crashed there.
Yeah, and everyone fanning out for a lot of positions.
Trying to find their partners for the eventual pit stop we'll see here in a couple laps.
And actually, some solid outside line starting to form up here. And potentially a charge to the front as well. So we could have a battle for the lead here within a few laps.
At 43, Jacob Hall leading that charge. Eli Hinton behind him, Chris Gutierrez, and the 50 of Casey Lakatos all in the outside lane trying to mount a charge. We'll see if Daffin or Sheen will jump up to the outside lane. Sheen looked like he wanted to go before and didn't quite commit to it, so we'll see maybe a Daffin might jump out there and try to make a charge to the front. I think I'm board now with Chris Gutierrez in that number 6 car.
Notably, you remember Justin Egan, right?
Oh, yeah.
He apparently lost the draft. He is currently 15 seconds behind the leader.
Yeah, I mentioned before that he might have lost the draft from the lead pack and was going to lose it after the second pack passed him. But that all's all... Oh, whoa! Chaos in front! The 99 out of line. He almost got turned in front of the field. The 43... there was a little bit of evasive action going on all over the place up here. As I was saying with the 71 before I was so rudely interrupted by these guys losing control, is the 71. I mentioned that how he lost that lead draft. That second group will never slow down for you. They just blew right by him and didn't look back, and he has now lost the draft, praying for a caution to get him back in contention.
Yeah, he actually is down on pit road, making his stop.
Oh, that's almost suicidal here at Talladega, Finian. I don't know how that's going to work out.
Yeah, so he will try to come back on the field. He's going to be put a lap
pit
down.
Stops.
Actually, here comes some pit stops. Yep.
A lot of pit stops going on. Ronis is going to be in here as well as Chambliss and Stravato. The rest of the field, kind of 3-wide chaos up here for the front.
Yeah, definitely chaos indeed. Now, it's kind of, and there's a reason you only saw about 3 cars pull off, and that's because they did not announce that on the radios. Typically, usually you announce that, you usually try to announce that over chat so you don't get run over from behind, but those guys made a split-second decision trying to make sure no one else followed them in.
So now we have a big kind of group of cars here that I don't know if anybody's really sorted out and ready to come down to pit road here, Finian. Got to get yourself single file before you can start making that decision.
Yeah, it seems like no one is, it doesn't seem like we'll have any takers, but we'll see as it come out at turn 4 who elects to come down pit road if we see anyone.
Here comes the 22.
And most of that bottom line right there.
Now, Liam Sheen made up a ton of ground on the entry there. The 42 went pretty fast, but they'll all get woed up in time. Does anyone spin? No, they keep it straight. You see the Hunt Motorsports cars on the front straightaway as well, all lined up there. I think, is Butler an SMT guy? Because he's in here as well.
Oh, which driver?
Elliot Butler?
Yes.
Yeah, so he's riding along with the Hunt Motorsports guys here today. And I suspect they'll all be on pit road the exact same lap, just not sure what lap they're coming in just yet. Back out up front, the leaders, Hall, Hinton, Gutierrez, Bafford, Lakatos, Martinez. Still out on their own. I wonder if we'll see them this time by, potentially.
Nope, no one comes down.
Interesting. Liam Sheen just getting back up to speed. He's got Mark Emerson just up the road. And Ronis behind him at full speed coming around the outside. So Sheen just going to make sure he can get that draft. If you come out, he's pretty far back from Emerson here, Finney. He doesn't have a lot of help behind him. I worry about Sheen maybe not surviving this with a group of drivers, as the rest of the guys that came in around him are up the road or behind him. And here comes the lead pack. Hall leading. Eli Hinton, Chris Gutierrez, Ben Bafford. Out of turn number 4, a little bit chaotic with some lap down cars. No dice this time, they'll stay out once more.
And I think these guys are trying to potentially run the tank out before they come down to pit road. And I mean, it could potentially work, as they do got a big group to work with.
So, I mean, you can't make it from here. So
no, these guys are going to still make one more stop regardless.
Yeah, so interested. I mean, there's not really a huge reason to run this tank out of fuel, because you're going to have to come down, you know, you're probably about 10, 15 laps short. So I would have split it up a little bit more and gone into a little bit sooner, these guys, but I guess they have a plan up their sleeve and don't want to mess it up, so they'll do as they please. Well, so far, a couple cautions early, but it's been organized since then here, Finian, and now the field's all split up on strategy. Chris Garrett is down pit lane now, alongside the bent-up 27 of Jordan Ashland. He's down in pit lane as well.
Yeah, those guys coming in to get their stops done.
Jeremy Miller and Mark Emerson lined up together, making the other guys go around them. And that breaks up the draft a little bit here, Phineas. That might be an advantage once these other guys come in. Emerson and Miller and Lakatos might be out in front of these guys just because they've spent so much time slowing each other down. And they're actually blocking Chris Gutierrez and Bafford from getting down to the inside lane. And if they were planning on putting this time by, they'll have to put it off again, but it doesn't look like they were planning that.
Nope, and this field's still going to continue on, and this is going to be a late dive from a lot of these guys to try to get around Daffin and Horn.
Oh, man, this is risky stuff here. Oh, a little bit of a checkup. The 22 gets into the back of the 30. Big damage, actually, to the rear bumper of that 30 car after the contact. Shouldn't affect the aero, as the back is not super important, but the side panels and that nose are very important. We'll see, looking back from Miller. Actually, Emerson does have a little bit of aero damage. Shouldn't hurt him a ton, but obviously not what he wanted.
You definitely want to keep your car as squeaky clean as possible. You don't really want too much damage on there. A little dent here and there won't hurt, but you want your car in as prime as possible.
Yeah, I mean, you can kind of mask some of that damage. As you see now, the 13, the 43, and the 6, and the 50 will all come to pit lane. You can mask some damage with the draft here. Whoa, the 13 locked up the brakes. So the damage isn't super important if it's minimal, because you can just tuck in behind. The problem is if you go out to lead a line, you're going to get swallowed alive with that aerodynamic drag. So Hinton, Hall, and the rest of the field on pit lane. Looks like everyone else has come down. So we're just waiting for Connor Horn should be the one that eventually comes back around to lead this race. So he had a pretty good pit stop sequence. Oh, it took probably 2 tires here, Fanian, or no tires at all. 10.9 second stop to Alec Daffin's 12.3, Jeremy Miller's 11.9.
Yeah, so currently at the moment we got Horn, Daffin, Miller, and Emerson in one group, and then shortly behind them, Liam Sheen, Ronis, and Stravato, also trailing them by about a second.
So Hall and Hinton are coming off of pit road already. Casey Lakatos is just a little ways behind them with help from Ben Bafford. So where is the other drivers? Like Connor Horn, they're coming out of turn 2, but they're going to have a huge head of steam. But is it going to be enough to get by? I don't think it's going to be, Finney. The other guys have a huge lead on them.
We'll see. They gotta. These other guys really have to get hooked up together, and you can already see some of them getting hooked up. 43 and the 13 have found each other yet again. The 50 and the 60 working together.
And a well played out pit stop sequence for Hall and Hinton, as they are 1 and 2 here at lap number 51. Horn, Daffin, Miller, and Emerson are riding right now at 7th, 8th, 9th, and 10th.
Well, now one group of drivers we gotta start keeping track of now is the SMT / Hutton Motorsports group, guys. There we heard from, that was the 8 of Jeremiah Vincent. He said at around halfway they're going to start working up to the front of the field. Well, it's at 52 of 94, so the matches they're going to start putting the pedal to the metal now.
Yeah, I think so. I guess we'll watch an eye on this gap right now. You can see on your ticker the lead car in that group is Steve Turner in 14th, that number 26 car, 11.4 seconds back from the leader, who is Jacob Hall. Keep an eye on that gap on the ticker and see if that decreases or increases, because if they can't catch that lead, they're in big trouble. And this is why, Finian, that move is risky. If you go back there and save your race till the end, you have to make sure that you can run the leaders back down, and sometimes it's not possible, especially when we're in small groups like this. It doesn't allow the front to get all checked up. So keep an eye on that gap. I'm curious to see if it'll drop.
Well, the tables have turned here in this race. We got 3 distinct groups. Got the top 4, and then a big midfield, and a small trailing field behind them. It's almost like if you ever, I don't know why I'm saying this on this, but have you ever seen the Tour de France?
Well, I mean, you're not wrong.
Cyclists form groups like that.
Yeah,
it's almost akin to that.
Well, again, the Tour de France is also strategical. I mean, there's places where you want to put your effort in, and places where you want to save your energy, and this is very similar to that, except without the physical component necessarily. I mean, people say that Talladega is not really taxing on your body, but it's taxing on your mind. And, this is extremely stressful stuff. And there's a lot going on inside these drivers' brains. They're not, trust me, they're not just a bunch of dumb rednecks driving around in circles. There's a lot going on inside those brains. And the only gears that are turning are not in the race cars. There's gears turning in those heads as well. And with lap 54.94, we'll be coming back to 40 laps to go at the line. And that ticker will count down at 20 to go, and that's when it'll really be on. So keep an eye on that field. What about the gap, Finian, back to Steve Turner? 11.7, so they've lost a couple tenths since we last checked.
Yeah, and actually, Chris Gutierrez, he's actually looks like he's going to lose the second pack, and he's going to start drifting back towards the third pack behind them. Hopefully they'll pick him up, although it's kind of unlikely.
No, I don't think so. They remember when Justin Egan lost that draft. Where is Egan, by the way? Oh, he's pulled off. He's done for the night. I think that's frustration at that point, Finian. I mean, we lose the draft. There's not really a way to get it back without a caution.
Well, here's an interesting thing. The second pack of drivers led by Connor Horn, they're actually catching the lead pack by about 4/10 a lap from their current pace.
I'm looking on board with Jeremiah Vincent right now. The rear bumper of that Unreal Esports Media car destroyed. I mean, it looks like someone just plowed into him with a semi-truck in the rear bumper of that 36 car.
Yeah, actually, even Vincent, too, I believe, has a dent in his car as well. I was kind of wondering where he got that as well.
Oh, yeah, he has the same kind of damage on his rear bumper, so there's obviously a stack up. What I'm missing, though, is whose front ends they came off of. I mean, yeah. I don't know, Rodden's got a little bit of nose damage, but I mean, that might be a source of one of the contacts. Well, you mentioned that second group with Connor Horn here, Finian. Look at them. They're all lined up and charging hard. But last time through, Hall, Hinton, Lakatos, and Bafford were just a little bit quicker.
Yeah, indeed they were. Everyone's starting to get hooked up and moving it right now.
And Ben Bafford in that 60 currently leading the dash for cash. In that number 60 car, back up in fourth place. Connor Horn wants that. Remember the stipulation, this race has to finish under green for that dash to cash $30 to be awarded. These drivers will be praying and hoping for a green end of the race. That's probably the hardest place to do that, is probably at Talladega.
Yeah, especially because you want to try to move people out of the way, but you have to make sure you don't cause a caution. And that's the whole reason that little fine print was added to the dash for cash. They obviously didn't want people wrecking for the win. So, but that's a thing they gotta hope for and pray is that a caution doesn't come out.
Riding on board with Alec Martinez behind Liam Sheen in the number 99. That 99's got the SimTV paint scheme. You can see our link that if you're watching this race, you're in the right place. SimTV Broadcasting, youtube.com/SimTV Broadcasting. If you're seeing this and it's not on YouTube, at youtube.com/SimTV Broadcasting, you should tell us about it, because obviously our stuff is being restreamed elsewhere. I got a kick out of that for some reason.
Yeah, I was say, I don't know who on earth would waste their time trying to do that.
Yeah.
It's a lot of effort.
Hey, well, someone's always out there trying to rip me off.
At colleges, but anyway, as we continue on in this race, I'm looking at the last group, the Hutton Motorsports guys. It looks like they are catching, again, making small increments. It's down now to about 11 seconds, their gap behind the lead pack.
Yeah, they definitely have gotten themselves organized here, and good thing, because we're getting down to about 34 to go here. So, they mentioned go time, but that's a lot of gap to make up here, Finian. I don't know if they can do that. I will tell you another guy I'm liking here today, Finian, Eli Hinton. He's been following the 43 of Jacob Hall for the majority of this race. We know how good Jacob is, and we know Eli is capable of winning races. He did it right out of the gate at Chicagoland Speedway, holding off a hard-charging Anthony Burroughs there. And Hinton is very talented, and riding with a guy like Jacob Hall, I wouldn't be surprised to see that 13 car ride in victory lane tonight.
Yeah, I would say anyone in that top four right now is looking very nicely. And I mean, really have guys like Lakatos and Baffert who have had some good pace, had some decent pace this season, but haven't really had strong showings. But here they are running third and fourth at the moment.
Oh, where's Connor Horn back here with Jeremy Miller and Mark Emerson tucked in behind? Let's see, their progress is slowed a little bit. I would have thought that they would have been able to catch, but they have not. They're still sitting about 4.4 seconds behind the leaders. And Steve Turner as well, leading that Hutton Motorsports group, also still kind of stagnating around 11.2 seconds.
Yeah, they're actually falling back. It's now about so it's been kind of gaining and expanding. But I did a little bit of math. They got to, in order to catch the leaders by this point in time, they got to be catching them by at least 0.3 a lap.
Yeah, so this is why at the beginning of the race, when I was playing devil's advocate, this is exactly why, because I was worried that this race would go so green that the field would get spread out and you wouldn't have a chance to run anybody else back down. So that seems to be what's happening so far. And without a caution, these guys are in trouble.
Yeah, that's typically, I mean, we both done this in super speed races when we do it. We like to stay back, but stay back in the lead pack. So that way, in situations like this, when they arise, we don't get caught out on strategy. And we're also in a position to avoid the wreck. So I think those guys probably played it a little bit too safe.
And that's certainly something you can do at Talladega. You can play it way too dangerous, you can play it way too safe. It seems like Vincent and Butler and Hutton and Turner, both Turners, are suffering that so far here tonight so far. I said so far way too many times in that same sentence. It's been a long day.
Wow, well, Connor Horn was hauling absolute ass the last time they went.
Well, pardon your French there, Finian.
Yeah, 47.4.
Oh, wow, that was fast.
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
Well, 47.4 for that whole group.
Yeah. So I don't know what happened, but they all kicked in the nitrous and they're heading towards the front of the field.
Well, that's what the rest of the field needs to be doing. I'm talking about the Hutton Motorsports guys. That's what they need to be pulling out 47.4s. Catching them a half a second a lap, you're there in time, but you can't just be running around running 48.0s like they are right now.
Ooh, Sheen got really... I don't know if you were watching.
Yeah, I was watching it.
He clipped the apron and got really loose, almost caused a wreck. We'll keep on going. And they ran a 40... Wow, some of them ran a 47.3.
Yeah, that whole group did.
Wow.
Yeah, they're averaging well over 200 miles an hour on the end of the straightaways here. So they're definitely carrying a lot of speed, and they have chopped that gap in half the last couple laps. So, yeah, that group is coming here, Finian. This is, you know what, who I also like right now is Alec Martinez in the number 18, because he's sitting right at the end of that main group in 11th right now. Has kept himself out of trouble, and he's in the perfect place. I think if he had help behind him just in case he were to fall out of the draft, he'd be absolutely in perfect shape to go and try to steal one away. The problem is I don't think he has enough friends out there. Haven't really seen him working together with anyone.
Yeah, and I think there was a driver behind him, but that driver lost the draft, and this is 20 of Alec Daffney. He's currently in the middle of no man's land, 6 seconds behind the field and dropping in 12th.
And notably, the 20 of Alec Daffin here, Finian, he was... Oh, Daffin is all by himself. Now getting, that's the 11 of Eddie Trejo, who is 2 laps down. But Daffin was running in the lead group up with Connor Horn, but that group is, they booted him, and that's when they picked up the speed here. Look at the rubber buildup on the 30 of Miller. That is a dirty race car. My goodness. Well, Miller has seen some stuff here tonight. I believe he was behind that first incident with the 12 of Jim George.
Yeah, he was.
So he got a lot of smoke and rubber buildup on that car. Probably some oil as well from the 12 car. That's something we've seen a lot out of Jim George so far this year, Fitting, is he's had speed, but just never works out for him. Alec Daffin on pit lane, interestingly. And looks like that's just a fuel to the end run here, but he's all by himself, so I don't know how that's going to work out. Well, it's a good time to take a look at our stint here, Finian. You can make it to the end here. 30 laps to go. So pit window is open for that final round. And I guess
it's really...
Go ahead. I was going to say, it leaves that Hot Motorsports group up with a little bit of strategy. But I think everyone's just going to fuel to the bare minimum and go from there. So I don't know if they can make up a lot of time that way.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, how long can these guys still go on fuel?
Pit window is about 30 laps. They're about... The front group is all 15, 16 laps in. Miller, Horn, Miller, Emerson, Sheen, Ronis, Travato all can go about another 10 laps. So, I don't know. I mean, I think you'll see a lot of these guys come in pretty soon. You see there goes the 20 of Alec Daffin down a lap now. But I would say these guys would want to pit as soon as possible, but the longer you go, the less you have to fuel the car. And that might be a consideration, especially for the Hutton guys, because they're at a deficit here. They might want to come down later, take a little bit less of a fuel load.
Also, I wonder if the group also behind, led by Connor Horton, I wonder if they're going to try to actually draft up to the front and then decide to pit, rather than pit when they're so close there.
Well, they're making up a lot of ground right now, Finney, and I don't see any reason why they want to stop. I mean, they've been running 47.4s for the past 5 or 6 laps. I mean, why would you break up that momentum? You're killing it right now.
Yeah.
There's no need to slow down and break up that increase. So they've chopped that gap from, was at one point over 4 seconds, now it's under 1.5. There's Daffin. Got booted from that group, and he might be a little bit unhappy about how that all went down, but getting past on the outside, not a whole lot he can do about it.
I think this group actually might start to lose a little bit of steam as they try to work themselves around the 20 of Daffin.
Well, they've almost caught that lead group. Now they're 1 second behind Ben Baffert in that 60, and that's almost draft range here. So if they can just make up a little bit more ground. They ran a 47.3. They're still running half a second quicker. This lap will be a little bit slower than that, but they're still coming at a pretty good pace.
Yeah, they're actually in the corners right now. They're going 5 miles an hour faster, which might not seem like a lot, but it adds up over time.
Well, Jacob Hall and Eli Hinton have led a ton of laps out here out front right now. They're still making good time, but not as good time as the guys behind him. Casey Lakatos in the number 50 car here, Finney. This is a great run for him. See him up front a little bit. Last week at Vegas was a good run for him as well. I think something happened to him later in the run, but so far so good for that 50 car. Ben Baffert having a career night in that 60. Also Dash for Cash competitor, not showing up in green on our ticker, but he is competing for that $30 bonus.
About to say he's gonna have to start watching his mirrors now, as his other competitor for the Dash for Cash, Connor Horn, is closing in fast.
And they're going to take that momentum they have to the outside lane. Coming back to lap 70, it'll be 25 laps to go. And that lead group has lost their advantage. And here comes Connor Horn in the 42, last week's winner from Vegas.
And you can see everyone else in that second pack also deciding to go to the top lane with using that momentum they have.
Will Connor Horn be the leader at the exit of turn 2? He's got a head of steam. 30 of Jeremy Miller pushing him hard. Onto the back straightaway now. 2 by 2.
Yeah, these guys trying to take the long way around on the outside, only line they have available to them. They still got a decent amount of momentum to work with and a lot more cars behind as well.
Yeah, they kind of lost all the steam that they had because they're now fighting in that unpreferred line, but Jacob Hall, Eli Hinton, not going to defend. They're just going to let them have that outside lane here. Maybe a little bit early to defend as everyone has to come down one more time to fuel up their cars. But that battle for the lead getting intense. Liam Sheen in that outside lane jumped up behind Mark Emerson. And Hinton and Jacob Hall, this is a great group that they've been working with so far tonight. These guys have a great chemistry. They've raced very nicely together. But they might get split up here if this gets chaotic.
Yeah, definitely can. So, you know, these guys got to watch out, make sure now you really don't want to lose a draft, especially because I can imagine these guys are going to go pretty long on their fuel until they have to pit.
Yeah, take another look here. It's only going to be another about 5 or 6 laps for the group that has caught this. So Horn, Miller, Emerson, Sheen, and then behind him, Ronas, Martinez, Travato. They got to come in relatively soon. So this is going to be a kind of a short-lived advance for these guys. Oh, Jacob Hall jumps up and blocks the 42 car. Big block, and that killed the momentum for a second, but Horn will draft back using that side draft, get to the corner panel of the 42. Here he comes with help from the Jeremy Miller in the number 30 car.
And he's going to try to use the run off the corner, but actually it's the 13 that gets the better run. He's going to push the 43 of Hall back to the front. And Lakatos is going to also join in, as well as everyone else deciding to jump to the bottom line now.
Yeah, the 42 and the 30 are going to lose their momentum now as everyone is bailed. And this might be, especially for the 99, he's one of those guys that has to come down and pit relatively soon. Now goes the 30 to the bottom. And Connor Horn's going to lose some more spots unless someone else lets him in. That might not happen. And he's in.
And I kind of wonder if this is also potentially these guys getting single filed out for pit stops.
Oh, I guarantee you that's what's going on. Now, the question is here, Finian, do you think these guys will all work as one big group, or is it going to be the separate groups that we saw prior to this?
Might be a little bit separated here. Depends on where these guys want to come down with the friends they're talking with in Discord. You know, where they decide to come down.
Coming up on 20 laps to go here in just a moment. Jacob Hall has led the most recently. And we have someone peeling off for pit road behind. It looks like Angelo Ronas and AJ Stravato. AJ's in real hot. Can he get that car slowed down? He's out of control. Did he get it slowed down in time? He might have, but that was a wild slide for the 33 car.
Ooh, I don't...
Did he get it?
He crossed the line. His front fender crossed the line at 64 miles an hour. That's almost 9 over. So.
Well, isn't the speed here 70?
No. It's 55.
Oh boy, you sure about that?
I saw a lot of guys coming down at 55.
Oh, maybe you're right. Well, that could be big time trouble.
Yeah.
You might have gotten it woed down in time, but I guess we'll find out here in a moment. 20 laps to go at the line. Jacob Hall, Eli Hinton, Casey Lakatos, Mark Emerson, Ben Bafford, your top 5. Pit stop still to come for the majority of the field. And where does Lakatos's, where do his friends lie? We got a lot of Fords around him. First, second, and fourth and fifth are all Fords. So don't know where his alliances are.
Yeah, if anyone, it's got to be probably the 13 and 43 that he's been riding with, really. I would say maybe they would try to help him, but I don't think so, as they are teammates, the 43 and the 13.
I guess we'll see when the pit stop sequence is going to come here. Taking another look at our stint graphic. 30 laps on the fuel tank for some of these cars, and here they come down to pit lane. The 22 of Emerson going to come down. And he's going to bring Miller, Sheen, and Connor Horn with them, and they're all get in a little bit chaotic there, but they're all in nicely. Ooh, almost some contact. They're 3 wide on pit road. This is going to get interesting as they get to their stalls. And Sheen's going to have to be aggressive here because he lost a little bit of ground on the pit road entry to Mark Emerson. Rest of the field now. Hall, Hinton, and Lakatos all out front. But what about the Hutton boys? We haven't talked about them in quite some time. Bailey Turner sitting in 7th spot right now behind Steve Turner, Eric Hutton, and Michael Blanton behind him. Elliot Butler, Jeremiah Vincent, and Chris Gutierrez behind them as well.
Yeah, I don't think there's really much to talk about these guys. They're falling back now back to 12.6 seconds from the leaders. They were at 11 about 15 laps ago, so they've not been making any forward progress. I think it's kind of race over for them unless the caution were to come out.
And they'll probably be begging and hoping and praying that maybe someone loops it on pit entry, but these guys have done a pretty good job getting down there so far. And a lot of these guys, they must have all been checking up on each other. There's so much damage to the rear of some of these cars, and Elliott Butler has some nose damage as well. So these guys have been kind of bouncing off each other a little bit, and it seems like it's hurting their performance just a little bit. What about back out front? Hall hitting Lakatos. Lakatos to the outside here. AJ Stravato to the inside. Stravato is one lap down, trying to get his lap back. And will this mess up the strategy for Lakatos?
Well, no one comes down this time by, and it looks like the 33 didn't get a penalty, which I'm very shocked.
Got it low down in time. That's important. Well, Hall hitting, and a couple other guys have been dominant in this race so far. I think that 43 car is going to be hard to beat, but I just love what Eli Hinton's been doing. Sitting in line with this 43 car, planning out, kind of learning what he's doing, you know, maintaining that alliance, and then maybe on the last lap we'll see him ditch that alliance, but we'll see. They've worked really, really well together. And when push comes to shove, Hinton might stay in line just to make that all work, as we see some other guys coming down. Eddie Trejo and the 96 of John Rodden coming down to pit lane for their service.
Yeah, both those guys 2 laps down, trying to work together here in the late stages, but yeah, they're pretty much out of it at this point, running 21st and 22nd.
I want to thank everybody watching live. We just hit 24 hours of view time on this broadcast, so thank you everyone for watching. 16 laps to go here at Talladega. Don't miss tomorrow's action. Scars Class B action from Richmond, 9:30 p.m. Eastern Time.
And here's an interesting thing up towards the front of the field. I'm talking beyond the leaders. Mark Emerson, Jeremy Miller, and Liam Sheen, they both came out in a group together, and they already gotten hooked up ahead of this lead pack. Connor Horn wasn't able to catch up with them. He's actually going to fall back to the leaders as they actually come down to pit road.
Yeah, so pit stop time for the leaders. Oh, that 43 is in really hot, Finian. Did he get it down in time?
No, that is definitely a speeding penalty.
Well, keep an eye on him, Finian, because he might have gotten it woed down, but we'll see. He had it all locked up and kinked out sideways. Hinton did look like he got it slowed down in time. It was pretty close for him. Ben Bafford certainly did.
I had Hall coming across the line at 72 miles an hour.
If he avoided a penalty, he is the luckiest man of the year. I will give him that.
We also know who bribed the pit road official.
Oh, man.
But yeah, no, that 43 has really been flirting with pit road, and that might be the time that caught him. The Hunt Motorsports guys are also down on pit road as well, notably, getting their stops done.
And, oh, interesting here, Finian. Look where they came out, in front of that 43 car.
Yeah, and I think Hall did get pegged for that.
Yeah, did he serve a penalty?
I'm guessing.
Yeah, it looks like he did. Yeah, he's very far back. Oh, we got one slow up on the banking. That's the 27 of Ashland. Real slow up on the banking. Pulling back down the racetrack. Is he out of fuel?
I think he is.
Oh, yeah. So Jordan Ashland going to pull off. Night over for him. That's a shame. Meanwhile, up front here, Eli Hinton and Alec Martinez, of all guys, running nose to tail here with 15 coming to 14 laps to go. These two youngsters, Finian, no one doubts their talent. Hinton's been great all year. Martinez has been in the fight, just has not gotten a victory yet, but they're out pretty far in front of Casey Lakatos and Ben Bafford. Bafford safely has the Dash for Cash as of now. But I don't know, Finian, they're all split up here quite a bit. This race just totally changed with that pit stop sequence.
Yeah, and you know, we were talking about earlier, you know, it's kind of hard to tell who's going to win. It's just, you know, it's kind of a crapshoot as to who's going to get it. It can be anyone, really. And again, the race has turned on its head yet again.
You see on the track graphic, everyone's pretty well spread out in small groups. And when you're in small groups like that, it's really, really difficult to get runs on the groups ahead or behind you. So Hinton and Martinez might fall into the hands of Lakatos and Bafford, but might be a long time before we see anybody else come up. You see Lakatos and Bafford now side by side behind them.
Yeah, and they're definitely going to catch the leaders here at this rate. And again, Bafford has to win the race to get the Dash for Cash. So he's got a prime opportunity. He's got a run here. Will he take the opportunity to work to the outside of the 18 and the 13?
He's got a huge head of steam. Will he take it or will he stay behind the 18 of Alec Martinez? Looks like he'll choose to stay in behind and they'll collect that group and continue their climb forward. So where are the Hutton guys? Back in 11th. Now, notably, Finian, through all this, they have closed up ground. But I don't think it's going to be enough. They still have to be clawing away about a half a second a lap to make up any more ground on the leaders.
Yeah, they actually made a pretty solid amount of time, all things considered, but yeah, it's definitely not going to be enough at this point in time.
Here, you see Ashland coming out of pit road there with fuel back in the car. Now, here's an interesting top 5 for you. Ford, 2 Toyotas, a Chevy, and another Ford. Quite the class mix-up we have there. And with the concentration of Chevys, I'm surprised we only have 1 inside the top 5.
Yeah, I would say a lot of those Chevys, again, played it a little bit too safe, and that's kind of bit them in the butt here. Unless they get a late race caution, there's not really any way for them to be back in this fight.
I mean, they've been riding back there for half the race, and we talked to Jeremiah Vincent earlier. He seemed confident that they could do it with half the race left, but they just have not been able to eat into the lead the way that they planned on. As we come to 11 laps to go, the time is running out now. I just keep your eye on these front group here. I think your winner is going to come from anybody back to probably Liam Sheen in that number 99 car. I think Horn in 8th they have 6 seconds to make up to the leader, so it's a long way to go for them. And I'm not saying it's not possible, but they have to certainly pick up some speed.
And here's the thing, too. I think the 22, 30, and the 99 might actually lose the leaders here because Emerson looks like he's going to lose the draft. And notably, too, remember, Emerson has some front nose damage, so he's not the car you want to be in front of everyone. So I think these guys might have lost the battle as well.
The second group here, Finian, I don't know if they gave up or if they're trying to reorganize themselves to go faster, but Horn in front of Stravato, Ronis, Turner, Hutton, Elliott Butler, and the 25 car of Michael Blanton. They're all side by side. They're certainly not going to catch the leaders doing this. But maybe they've just accepted that and are just going to run themselves out to the finish as they are.
I think that's probably what it looks like here as we come now 10 laps to go.
10 to go here at Talladega, about 8 minutes of racing remaining. We've made it 85 laps. A couple of yellows slowed the progress here early, but now the battle is on up front. A group of 4. And then you got to look back to Mark Emerson in 5th to find the next group. They're 2.1 seconds back from the leader. They have Jeremy Miller and Liam Sheen back here. Connor Horn, AJ Stravato, Angelo Ronis leading the next pack, but they're 6 seconds back from the lead. They're making up a little bit of time, but they got to get going quick here if they want to have any shot at getting the win.
Yeah, but right now, as they run, there's 4 cars with a shot at winning this race. As they're going to come to the stripe now, 9 laps to go.
Well, you and I got to keep an eye on the lap times here, Finian. What they run this time, a 48.1. That's not very quick here, Finian. What the guys behind him run 48.0s, and Liam Sheen on back. They're all 47. Or actually, Connor Horn ran at 47.6. So pretty good times there, but 4 tenths of a second.
They actually have notably sorted themselves out single file, so they're going to start hauling. But is it enough?
Oh, the 30 car! Sideways on the back straightaway. He saves it. An incredible move. That's going to make the whole back straightaway scatter behind him here as they try to get around the slowed Jeremy Miller.
And I actually think that was the best thing that could have happened for them because that broke up that middle pack that they would have had to race around. So they're just going to blow by them in one turn. And they're going to be setting their sights to the leaders here. They might have a shot.
That might have just changed the game here. Angelo Ronis drops to the bottom. Will he get to the inside of Stravato? No. They're lined up. Connor Horn in front of this pack in 5th place. You can see the leaders way up the road. 4.7 seconds. 8 laps to go at Talladega.
If they continue at the pace they're going at, they might catch them.
A 47.4. That's a half a second quicker, Finian. I don't know if it's enough, but they could get there. These front 4 got to really push. They have to be extremely aggressive about this.
Yeah, if they start fighting for position, it's going to be over as the next group is going to catch them. But if they stay single file and really put the pedal down, they might be able to get away with them for finishing in the top 4.
Now, it's just a matter of these top 4 guys not getting greedy, because if you come out of turn number 4 and you start battling for position, you're probably okay. But if you're coming to the white flag and side by side, you're going to be in real trouble from that group charging from behind. We didn't think it was going to be possible, but that 30 car getting sideways on the back straightaway changed everything. And now Connor Horn and AJ Stravato and company are coming hard with 7 to go. 47.8 for Hinton that time by. They're picking up the pace just a little bit. A 47.5 for Connor Horn, so 3 tenths quicker. It's still going to be close.
Yeah, they need to start making out some more chunks here, though. They need to start going a little bit faster in the lead pack and start going slower. But I think the lead packs definitely realize they need to at least stay single file for a few more laps, at least till 2 or 1 to go.
Not saying it isn't possible, it's just unlikely. But they are taking chunks out of the time. And once they're back in the draft, that changes the game too. I mean, they only have to make up about 0.8 of a second less than the actual gap shows, because then they can use the draft a little bit to get themselves around. Look at AJ Stravato pushing the 42 car through the tri-oval. He was not laying back on that 42 car's bumper.
No, he is not. You can see that these guys are pushing. Wow, 47.1 for Connor Horn.
Oh, man. Update on the 30 car from the chat. I want to thank Matt Close for giving us this information. The 30 of Jeremy Miller didn't take enough fuel and had to save fuel, and that might have been why he got punted out of line there on the back straight.
Okay, that's really unfortunate for him. But really, that second group, they're really starting to put in the lap times they need now. And also, it looks like Lakatos might start to lose the draft here. He got awfully close to it.
Yeah, he's not in a great position. And that might, Vinny, that's going to kill the momentum from this front group. If they don't have all 4 cars here, this is going to be a very slow lap for them. Martinez has to be pushing hard. A 47.9. That's not going to be fast enough that they want to hang on to this. Another 47.4 for Connor Horn. It's going to be enough, Vinny, and 5 laps to go. Cue the Jaws music. They're coming.
Yeah, they're coming. That front group looks disjointed as ever. It looks like the 18 and 13 really pushing. 60 Bafford's hanging on, as well as Lakatos. And they're not really hooked up as they were about three or 4 laps ago.
This is going to be down to the wire here, Finian.
Yeah, they see Alec Daffin jumping to the highest. I wanted to get out of this because this is a big battle that he probably doesn't want to get himself involved in.
Coming to 4 to go now. Their lead is dwindling down to 2.5 from Lakatos back to Horn. They come across the line. What are the lap times this time through? 48.1. Not fast.
Slowest they've been.
47.3 for Connor Horn.
Wow.
Oh, 47.2. That was the updated lap time. They're still charging even harder.
Yeah, you can tell this. You know this. You look at. You get told as a kid, never give up, and this is in action right here.
They are charging hard. They have all 750 horses teamed up together, pushing their way forward. They just have to get around 1 car. That's the slow 20 of Alec Daffin.
That lead pack, though, they're starting to get hooked back up again.
Yeah, I mean, if they can do the lap times they're running earlier in the high 47s, they could hang on to it, but with 3 laps to go, they have Connor Horn just 1.9 seconds back from Lakatos. If he brings out, it's 1.7 now. A 47.7 last time, but for Connor Horn, another 47.3. They're still taking a half a second out of this lead.
Ooh, and Gutierrez, he just jumped in front of Lakatos, and that ruined Lakatos' race now. So now 3 cars up to the front fighting, and Lakatos is going to be out of it.
1.2 seconds back from Lakatos to Horn. 1.1 now. Soon Horn will have the draft. It'll make that whole line faster. We're down to just under 2 minutes of racing left at Talladega. Coming to 2 laps to go. Can Hinton hang on for another win this season? Can Alec Martinez get his first? Can Ben Bafford win and take home the Dash for Cash $30 bonus prize? It's time to go racing here. Connor Horn has caught this lead group. He's going to be at Casey Lakatos' bumper here in just about a half a lap. Then he can deal with Bafford, Martinez, and Hinton for the lead.
Yeah, the rate he's been going at, he should be almost tied with Hinton, but they're catching actually a lot of lap traffic up ahead. You see the 27 Ashton on the top slide slowing down, and there's Steve Turner and Jeremiah Vincent up the road. So everyone's going to do a lot of bobbing and a lot of weaving.
Oh, this might get interesting here. If we get back to the white flag here, the next flag is if we get caution, we'll continue and finish out the lap. If we get the white flag and we stay green, it'll be the checkers that ends it. Coming back to white flag, Connor Horn charging with AJ Stravato and Angelo Ronis. White flag in the air. Eli Hinton's got 2 2/3 miles left to get a win here at Talladega. Alec Martinez tucked in behind, but here they come behind him. Lap traffic, slowing everyone. Ben Bafford has fallen off from the 18, maybe trying to get a run on this first group.
Yeah, it looked like Lakatos is trying to work with Gutierrez on the outside of Ben Bafford. I don't know if he'll have enough to catch up to the 13 of Hinton, but he's starting to build up a run.
I don't think it's going to be enough, Finian. Connor Horn too far back. The lap traffic too thick. Eli Hinton on the outside of the lap traffic of Jeremiah Vincent and Steve Turner. Can Alec Martinez do anything with
Gutierrez, it? And here they come down 3 wide.
Coming back to the checkers. Who gets there first? The 18 pulls in front of the 6 car. 3 wide behind him. Here comes Eli Hinton. The 42 on the bottom. The 33 gets spun. Huge crash on the front straightaway to the line. Martinez to the line. Oh my God. Eli Hinton wins the race on his roof. Hinton slid across the line on his roof and won this race. Can you say insane?
Now that is what you call a photo finish. Wow.
That was... I need to... Hold on. My heart rate's pounding. I need a second. My God. Eli Hinton pulls it out at the last possible second. Ben Bafford unable to collect that $30 bonus prize. We'll cross the line in 8th. What a finish. Look at Eli Hinton's car. It's dragging the track. It's all sideways. Look at that thing. It's all skewed out. The whole back end's knocked out of it.
Yeah, and Alec Martinez, who was fighting with Hinton at the line, he only beat Connor Horn by 0.005 of a second to hold on to second.
Don't worry, folks. We will go back and watch this replay. But we do want to watch Eli Hinton. We're going to look at the replay in detail. But Eli Hinton dragging that 13 car skewed sideways. Picks up another win here this season. We didn't know if he could hang on, but he gave it his all. Back to the start-finish line. I'm amazed he even drove back around, to be honest with you. And he'll get to do burnouts at Talladega Superspeedway. He won at Chicagoland in dramatic fashion. He wins again at Talladega in even more style. Up on his roof, slides across the line, dragging that roof number on the asphalt. Eli Hinton, your winner here tonight. And he's going to celebrate that. He's got enough power and fuel left for a pretty good burnout there, Finian. And there's the 43 car celebrating with him. Jacob Hall, who finished in 13th. And they're nose-to-nose on the front straight. We'll keep the cameras on them just to see what goes on here. Pretty spectacular finish, though. Again, we will take another look. There's Ben Bafford coming up here. Huge damage on the nose of that 60 car. Maybe a little love triangle going on here.
Yeah, and in the radio right now, there's some people not happy with each other, especially with the lap traffic that got into the way there, so...
I 100% knew that was going to be the case.
But as I also heard someone just say, lap cars have teammates too, so...
Oh, I love it. I love it.
Fantastic point.
All right, well, let's go back and take a look at that replay, because it's going to take a couple minutes to digest it before we go to interviews. So let's go back and find this here. It's going to take us a minute to get there, so bear with us. As that was a pretty wild way to end this one. So we'll do a couple full-speed replays first, and then we'll bring you the slow-mo. And here they come out of turn number 4. I think this all starts around Martinez. He chops down in front of the 6, gets put middle. The Hinton blocks the 8 car. And then the 13 and the 18 bounce off of each other here. And that's what triggers this whole finish line incident here. And wow. Okay, I stand corrected. He didn't cross the line on his roof. It was on his door panel, though.
Yeah, he came on 2 wheels across the line.
That's some style points for sure. I think a guy that got a great view of this will be the 42 car of Connor Horn. We'll ride on board with him here in a moment. Here we go. Here's Horn's perspective. Went down below the yellow line. Interesting to see how that gets deemed there, those final couple passes. But you see the 13 car gets hit and knocked right over. And the rest of the field, sparks flying off that number 13. Maybe we'll watch from the 26 car of Steve Turner, because he also had a pretty good view of this incident. I would like to watch his also in slow motion, as it was a pretty exciting view that he had. All right, here is the slow motion view of Steve Turner's perspective. 13 car pulls in front of the 8. And then you see the 6 on the outside. So the 8 car pulls up and gets hooked by, I think that was that the 42? No, it wasn't the 42. But then right here, the 13 and the 18 get together. The 18 gets tagged by the 6. And up and over goes the 13 car. Crazy wild finish. Now, of course, the obligatory Eli Hinton onboard camera. If I could find it here. Bear with me, folks. Well, that's unfortunate. Give me 1 second. This is so annoying to grab. Lap. The session ticked over into countdown mode, so it's tricky to get.
Yeah, that'll do it.
94 flag. Ah, here we go. That's a little bit better. I can work with this. All right. This is what I wanted to see. All right, so here is Eli Hinton's onboard. Actually, let's go on board the gyro camera. This is always a fun one when flips happen. And so again, the 13 pulls down to block the advance from behind. And then there was some side-to-side contact with the 18 car here. Pulls up the racetrack and gets into the... Actually, yeah, they both kind of just got together. And now, when we're out on board the gyro, as he hits the... comes over the line, and up and over we go, sliding on the roof of that car. So the other thing we wanted to take another quick look at here, Fane, was the yellow line rule, because I'm curious to see what the enforcing is going to be with the 42 car.
Yeah, I saw him do that on when they were coming to the line, and yeah, it kind of, again, iRacing does not have an official calling on it. It really is up to the leagues and their own rules to do it, so we will find out after the race, potentially, what's going to happen to him, or at least going to next week, what's going to happen to that ruling.
Yeah, I mean, he passed a bunch of cars, but it also kept him from crashing, so in hindsight, it was probably a smart move for him. But Connor Horn will come across the line in position number 3, then gets wrecked hard in turn number 1. Well, that is the chaos that we just showed you there at the finish. And now we will head back live, and we will be back in a moment with some interviews, and certainly they're going to be some exciting ones.
Yeah, and actually also I should just point out that a lot of the league admins are already in their hauler talking, so I imagine they're already discussing that line incident.
All right, well, we're going to jump to break real quick. We'll be right back with the winner, Eli Hinton, and a couple others. Stick with us. Welcome back live to SimTV and Talladega Super Speedway. We're here with your winner, Eli Hinton. What a finish. I don't even think we could describe how insane that finish was. You crossed the line on your driver's side door and ended up flipping, barrel rolling several times, but you ended up still having enough car left to do burnouts. Walk us through that last lap and coming back to the checkers.
Wow, that was crazy, man. But yeah, me, Alec, Ben, and Jacob. Jacob unfortunately got a speeding penalty at the end. We were all working together all night. We got that pit strategy right, and then right there at the end, that last lap, man, me and Alec were gonna battle it out. Me, Alec, and Ben. Ben fell off, I think, but me and Alec went at it. And I wasn't trying to wreck him right there, but like once I was trying to just tap him to slow him down, you know, because you can't really side draft that good. But once I tapped him, it just set me loose and kind of wrecked. But I don't think he's too mad about it. I'm probably gonna go like crap for it, but I thought it was an awesome finish.
Have you ever won a race on your roof before?
I can't say I have. I wish I would have. Well, I have now, so.
Yeah, well, I mean, your car owner's going to be a little bit upset about the...
Well, I am the car
Well,
owner.
hey, you got some bills to pay, I think, on that thing. But tell us about the race and the strategy, because it seemed like there was a lot of chess match strategy going on with the fuel situation. The Hutton Motorsports guys were all laying in the back towards the end. They almost got back to you, Bailey Turner being the highest runner of those guys, and the number 24 finished 4th. So what was going on inside that race car? Were you thinking about what the other guys were doing, or you just focused on your own race?
Oh, yeah. Me, Alec, and Ben were definitely thinking about that. See, they stayed out the caution before, like, the last caution. They all stayed out, I think. So they had less fuel, so they had to pit earlier. But we pitted, so we got to stay out longer. And then at the end, when you stay out longer, you don't have to take as much fuel, so it's a faster pit stop. So we were out in front of them, but we didn't have, like, everybody grouped together. It was me and Alec and then the 50 and Ben. So, like, we were two separate packs. So me and Alec were just sitting there, like, half throttle waiting for them. And we got together, and then they caught us right there at the very end. And, yeah, it was crazy.
Yeah, it certainly was crazy, Eli. Again, obviously another victory for you. So this season's going really, really well so far for you. Do you have anything coming up on the schedule that you have circled that you're looking forward to? Because, obviously, Chicago went really well, and Talladega went well. I'm just curious to see what's next on your list.
Richmond's, I love that track so much. It's gonna be a lot of fun. Hope I can get another win there. We have an off week before that, but then kind of Indy and what else? They're like Auto Club. Those are two of my least favorite tracks in the rest of the schedule.
All right.
But yeah, other than those two tracks, I love the rest of the tracks. So basically circling all of them, but those two.
Well, go ahead and celebrate. I don't think you're old enough to drink champagne yet, but go get some sparkling grape juice or something and enjoy it, because that was fun to watch. All right, we'll see you later, Eli. Thanks for talking to us.
Thanks for broadcasting.
No problem. All right, we'll talk to second place Alec Martinez next. Alec Martinez drives the number 18 Craftsman Toyota Camry. Alec, that was an absolutely insane finish, coming door banging with Eli Hinton. He crashes and flips over the start-finish line. You come home second, a tenth of a second behind. Walk us through that last lap.
Oh my god. Yeah, that was a fun one. I remember just looking at my relative, just seeing how close Connor and that big old pack was getting closer to us. On that last lap going down the back, I know we were coming up on the lap cars and went high, and then coming off of 4, I saw Chris get a big run, and I couldn't like say no to it, or else I would have felt too many spots behind. So I knew I had to take the push, so I tried to get to him, and I got next to Eli, and we started hitting each other's doors, and that was really fun. So but all I really wanted to do was finish this race, because it's one of those plate tracks. So never been a fan of them, but it's good when you can get a good finish out of them.
Yeah, well, it's been a pretty good season for you so far. You've had a couple poor finishes, but for the most part, you've been real consistent. And I believe this is your best finish on the season so far. I asked Eli the same question. Do you have anything coming up on your calendar, on the schedule, that you're excited for, that you have circled, and that you think you can go out and win at?
Yeah, I got 2 tracks circled. Number 1 is Dover, for sure, even though that's Chase. Dover, and I like Texas. Texas, one of my best tracks that I like, so,
All right, well,
I think that might be a good chance, but glad we're not going to any fluke restrictor plates anymore. So, oh well.
Yeah, well, it's a great finish for you regardless, Alec. Thanks for talking to us, and we'll see you in a couple weeks here. Congratulations on the second place finish.
Yep, thank you.
No
Merry
problem.
Christmas, guys.
All right, let's next talk to third place Connor Horn. Hey, Connor, how you doing?
I'm doing good. That was pretty fun to watch, I think.
Oh, it was. I mean, I think my voice cracked. I haven't cracked since I was like 13, so I was having a good time.
I woke up everyone in my house.
I'm in the basement, so I got away with that. Connor, that was obviously a really well thought out race. I think if you had caught the leaders a half a lap earlier, it would have been your race to lose. But you came across the line in third. Remarkable passing there towards the end. That's going to be a little bit controversial, but walk us through that last lap and what was going on inside that 42 car.
I knew we were going to get him. What hurt me was sputtering going into the pits on the final pit stops, and it didn't help that you have lap cars staying in the way of the leaders. That wasn't really something I was concerned about. I was concerned for the leaders up there, why they didn't go high, the Steve and Jeremiah. I don't know why they didn't go high, but it's their right to stay down there, so I can't be mad about that. And my stance on going below the yellow line, if they don't, I've been in plenty of official races when I get past below the yellow line for a win or a position. You protest it, you don't get anything out of it. So if iRacing's not going to enforce it, why would a league enforce it? It just makes no sense to me. So I did what I did, and I got a good finish. And I don't care what anyone says. I got my finish. I got mine.
Well, you certainly did. Coming on with P3, obviously you're in the Dash for Cash running here tonight. Needed a couple spots better, but you did finish the highest of that, so that's got to be a victory within itself, right?
Yeah, it was fun. It was a fun race to me, and I'm glad I got a good finish out of it. Dega is always hectic, as I think you saw there, so happy I came out of it alive. It was a struggle when I had to catch the pack twice, but I had good pushers, especially my teammates behind me, so it sucks that I think my teammate AJ got wrecked there over nothing, but it is what it is. We got third, and I'm happy about that.
A nice solid top 3 finish for you again, especially after that dominating win last week at Vegas. Thanks for talking to us, Connor. We'll see you in a couple weeks.
Thanks. Have a good night, guys.
You too. All right, next we're going to talk to the driver of the number 60, Ben Bafford. Ben, obviously a little bit of a controversial finish there, an exciting one for sure from our perspective, but you were the leading Dash for Cash driver coming back to the start-finish line, and everything just went south and you came home 8th. To walk us through that last half of a lap.
All right, so last lap, I was trying to catch up to my teammate Alec, and then Casey was going to go high, and I was going to go with him. But then the lap cars going into turn 3 decided to stay low, and then Connor Horn went low, so I had no chance of going behind under them. So I kind of got screwed there, and then coming through the tri-oval, I guess somebody came down on me, and they wrecked, and then I just spun across the finish line. I got 8th. It was just a really, really, really bad last lap.
Obviously a little bit disappointed, but I asked a couple other guys this. This was one of your career best runs here so far this season. Is there anything coming up on your schedule that you have circled that you might be able to potentially go out and get a win at?
Everywhere. I just need something.
All right. Well, obviously didn't end up the way you wanted tonight, but still a very strong run for you, Ben. Thanks for talking to us, and good luck.
Thank you.
All right. That'll wrap up. I believe that's everyone we had there, Finian, right?
Yes, that is.
All right, well, let's digest this for a second. All right, what's your opinion on the contact between the 18 and the 13 coming to the line there, between Eli and Alec?
Oh, I have really no opinion of it. I think those guys are just, fighting for the win at that point. Just doing everything they could.
Okay, and I'm just trying to get all your controversial opinions out here. So, number one, we're good. What about the 42 below the white or the yellow line? He seemed like he had a very strong opinion about why that should be okay. What's your opinion?
I don't agree with that opinion. The fact, his opinion. Well, I don't agree with the part where he was saying that just because iRacing doesn't account for it, that the league should account for it. In this case, really any of these leagues, it's their own rules, and if you don't abide by those rules, or if you don't like the rules, you can go run in another league. So it really is up to how the league, as a sanctioning body, is gonna look at that, and because they're the ones giving out the points, they're the ones who can take away the points as well.
Well, update on the yellow line situation. We just got an update that technically the yellow line rule is not written in the rules. So it's actually a loophole that they didn't realize, and they didn't say anything prior to the race about the yellow line. So basically these guys run a pretty minimalistic rule book and just kind of go off the honor system here. But they said that they will have to spell out the yellow line rule specifically for the future. So Connor Horn will be able to walk away with a P3 finish after that. He's remarkably lucky that wasn't written down.
Yeah, and that's, again, another thing. So in this case, he was in the right because it wasn't in the rules. But as you can see, next time we're probably going to go to restrictor plate. It's going to be restrictor plate track. It's going to be probably written in the rules and accounted for. So those guys got to change their driving accordingly.
Well, that certainly did not disappoint there at the end, Finney, and obviously another great race here for the Virtual Racing League. Very clean through the middle to late parts of that race. Obviously, the end was pretty much inevitable with those lap cars. What's your opinion on the lap cars at the end? Are they allowed to have their position out there, or would you rather have seen them pull over?
Yeah. The thing with
I want everyone to hate you at the end of this is basically what I want here. So
I'm not laughing at that. I'm laughing at what was just posted in Discord.
Yeah.
But yeah, as far as lap cars going across the line, I mean, it's more lap cars moving aside is really a courtesy thing. Unless it's in the rules that you really only see it in road racing, where blue flags mean you have to pull over. In oval racing, blue flags really just alert you that a faster car is approaching. You don't have to really pull over. So in that respect, it really is the other cars. It's up to them to get around to get around the lap cars. So the lap cars don't really have to do anything other than hold their line, which they did.
Yeah,
so
that blue flag is advisory only in oval racing, so they didn't really do anything wrong. Also, I mean, there's kind of a gentleman's agreement out there that typically you move over, but again, it's not a factoid, it's not a rule that you have to move over. So I think they're fine. Obviously, that might cause some people to lose some respect. There is a lot of discussion going on. This finish was very controversial, so I imagine this might enact some changes about how, especially the yellow line in particular, is applied. Also, the whole wrecking at the end situation, there was some controversial finishes there. If you want to see those replays, just go ahead and head back a couple minutes and take a look at that finish, because it was a wild one, Finian. But Talladega never seems to disappoint. Always exciting to watch a race here.
Oh, definitely. And I talked about, these guys put on a great race at Daytona. They put on a great race here. Fantastic finish from these guys. Very entertaining there at the end. So I expected nothing less, and nothing less next week, when we're going to head to Richmond.
We have a race next week?
Actually, 2 weeks from now.
I was going to say, yeah. Isn't that like Christmas or something? What's next week?
Next week's not Christmas.
It's the 22nd. Yeah.
Close to Christmas.
That's close enough. All right, so we're off next week is what you're saying for VRL.
Yes.
All right, so what's coming up next on Sim TV tomorrow night? Scars stock car action from Richmond. That's the Class B car, the first race, or the fourth race of the season. That'll be our first that's broadcasted. Monday, we're off. Tuesday, we're back with the Fuel Cup Series finale from Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Wednesday, the Virtual Mars finale from Summit Point, 30-minute race at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Thursday, the Fuel IndyCar Series finale from Auto Club. That'll be a 500-kilometer race on Thursday night. Friday, it'll be the Roval Fun Run for the Hardline Midwest Power Sports Cup Series. Not a points event, just out there for fun. Open to everyone, so that'll be Friday, 9:30 p.m. Eastern Time. And then Saturday, we're off, and then it's Christmas time, and everyone enjoy the holidays. But we'll see you guys tomorrow night for Scars. Thanks for watching. Enjoy the replays, and we'll see you tomorrow night.